Good morning, Ultimate Business Support. We are back. I am so happy to have recovered from my jet lag in just 2 sleeps after getting back from Europe, which normally takes me 14 sleeps to recover from. But I did follow a good friend of mine's advice, Rachel, who recommended I go to a doctor and get some melatonin tablets. And I've been having those a couple of hours before my usual routine. So I'm super, super excited to have Linda McMahon here on the call today because I think everyone, including myself, can do with extra productivity tips and hacks, as the new age term is nowadays. And she is from Essential System Solutions, and we know Linda collects with Stuart really well. So I knew that she will be able to add so much value. Linda, just in the background there's a little bit of shuffling happening, a lot of background noise. So I was just hoping, I don't know if there's anything you can do. Maybe don't move. Okay, let me introduce you properly, and then when we get talking, I'm sure it'll go away. All right, so Linda McMahon lives on a hobby farm in northeast Victoria here in Australia with her husband and 2 children. Having run a successful home-based business over 14 years, she has made time management and business systems their specialty. Linda has assisted many from startup business owners to higher management to those running their own multi-million-dollar businesses to achieve benefits such as streamlined, higher levels of focus and income, less stress in the workplace, more energy, stronger relationships, and a more relaxed and fun lifestyle. Linda has also interviewed over 40 successful business owners and is the author of 6 ebooks. So her business is called, as I said, Essential Solutions, and I'm showing that on the PowerPoint right now. Here she is. And the topic for today is how to increase your productivity for profit. So Linda, you can come off mute now, and welcome to the call this morning.
Thank you, Nat. Thank you very much for having me. I'm very honoured and excited to be on the call. Thank you.
Cool, awesome. So let's get stuck into it because these half an hour coffee chats can fly by so quickly. And one thing that I'll start off with my own experience around productivity and systems and procedures and balance and all that sort of stuff. So I found that I hired a virtual assistant earlier this year in January actually, and then also was able to let go of quite a few of my tasks to delegate them over across to Stuart because he's more in that administrative sense, holding the fort while I'm out there creating all the buzz and creating sales and marketing for the business face to face. And I have to say, having done that for the last 9 months solidly and refining it as we move along, I now find myself with a lot of spare time in my hands, kind of going, shouldn't I be doing something? I feel a little bit lazy that I'm not busier than I normally find myself to be. And one thing with me, and I know we're going to answer this question, but I used to keep all of my procedures in my head. And my first question is everyone knows procedures and systems are so important. So why do so many business owners have it all in their head? What's your opinion on that? And I'm probably going to add on a couple of insights around this as well.
Yeah, fantastic, Nat. Yeah, it did puzzle me for some time because, as you know, most business owners, they really do know the value of having good systems and what it can do for their business, but they just don't get around to it. It gets put off. And a lot of the clients that I work now with say they've been putting it off for years, and once they get it done, they're so happy, so they get all the benefits. I think it's got a lot to do with it can be a time-consuming task, or it could be overwhelming for people. And, there's no instant gratification if they do the system straight away, particularly if they aren't employing staff as yet. There may not be any instant gratification in there, or they might have the staff that are already doing the work, so they they don't need to put it into procedures straight away, and maybe the pain isn't immediate if they don't do it. So I think it really has got a lot to do with that. There's no instant gratification, and the pain isn't great enough if they don't do it. But as we know, as the business journey goes on, if they have systems in place, they reap all the benefits, and the pain does get very great if you don't have things set up properly. You will get burned and your business will suffer, and basically you as a business owner can suffer if you don't put them in place. So often also, it might not be that business person's thing. Might be very boring to them, or they might not know where to start. So for all of those reasons, I think is why business owners do put it off.
Yeah.
They make good intentions. They say, yes, I'm going to get these done, and it's one of those things that just gets continually put off, Nat.
Yeah, I agree. And if I can share, and I was exactly like what you said. You kind of know it. It's the last thing that's most important. But yeah, when the pain gets big enough, you're gonna get your butt into gear. And basically, how I did that for 2 years, I kept saying I'm gonna hire a virtual assistant. I'm gonna hire a virtual assistant, but I'm not gonna hire her or him until I have systems in place. And I kept saying that to myself. And at Christmas last year, I sat down and wrote one system, or recorded my screen for 5 minutes to show, say, a potential assistant what they would need to do. And that was it. And came January, which was my goal, by the time I start this year, which was 17th of January properly, that I would have this a virtual assistant. And I go, oh my God, how am I going to hire one with just one system written? And I did it anyway. And you should have seen how rapidly I wrote so many systems in the first 2 weeks of having her, because all of a sudden I said, yes, I'm going to have an assistant and I'm going to pay them. So the fact that I was paying someone money, if I didn't have enough work for them, then that meant that I was just throwing it down the toilet. So I also would add on to what you're saying, sometimes even say yes to getting more help. And you'll see how when the other people don't know what they're doing, or perhaps they don't have the guidance, that you'll actually sit down and knock off quite a lot of systems in that process, rather than going, I'll write my systems, then I'll hire someone. And as we've evolved, now we have such a huge library of everything. So even if she wasn't working for us any longer, we would be able to pass that over to a different person.
Yeah, Nat. And I think that's a really good point. You brought up something about if I was going to hire someone to do a particular task. And I find that all the time with business owners. If you ask that question, if I was going to hire someone to do this particular task or role, what would I expect them to do? And this is one of the big benefits of doing your systems before you actually employ staff, because you'll look at, well, what are my processes around this?
Yeah.
And if I was going to pay someone, what standards would I expect? So instantly, by doing your procedures before you employ staff, you've just lifted the whole standards of your business.
Yeah.
And often you'll also look at, well, how could I do this more efficiently? So you'll look at, well, what needs to be eliminated, or what can I simplify before you delegate. So that's very powerful in saving you a lot of time and money when you employ someone. And could I give some examples of that, Nat?
Yeah, for sure.
Sure. So like if you were going to, let's say, look at some of the basic things like outsourcing accounts, well, first you might get yourself a really good system that's quite simple. You might get your bank links linked up so your payments go through automatically, etc., and get recorded in the right area. For if you were going to outsource perhaps your email to a virtual assistant or an admin person, you might first of all tidy those up. So unsubscribe or put them all in your junk for your VA to unsubscribe to them later, so that when you are employing someone, they're not spending extra time doing things that should have been more efficient in the first place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally, totally. I agree. Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, the benefits are so huge. What about? I know this wasn't on my questions to ask you, but I know a lot of people struggle to delegate because they think they can do it best, and they really sort of hold on to so many tasks themselves than they need to. Where do you think that comes from? The struggle to delegate.
I think it comes from a mindset of that because I can do it myself, I will do it and I'll save money.
Yeah,
So, as we know, it doesn't save money because you can't grow sustainably if you do everything yourself, especially if you're doing things that you're not the expert at,
yeah,
as we know. So, some tips there around delegating is that I would get your procedures in place first so you know exactly what that person wants to do in the role, and then start visualizing someone coming in and doing that role for you, and start visualizing what sort of person would you like to come in, you know, what qualities would they have, what skills would they have. And I see this all the time. Once you start visualizing that, it does come to fruition. The right people turn up, or you get the right the money comes in to pay for them, etc. So it's just a little insight there.
I think another way someone said it to me a few days ago when I was overseas, you got to create the hole because the hole's not going to get filled unless you have a hole there. You know what I mean? And then
Absolutely.
the resources or the money or whatever it is that will come to fruition. I think a little bit people or when they get scared to delegate is probably in the early days, moving from completely being everything in the business to having other people in it. Those first steps because they've been so scared about cash flow and being able to maintain a business with more than one person, being I guess earning a salary from it. Now all of a sudden you might be responsible for 3, 4, 5 people, and that can be a little bit scary. And it's about taking a leap of faith. I believe.
Absolutely.
Yeah, beautiful. So, what are the downsides if you don't have procedures in place? What do you think can happen?
Oh, we haven't got all day, have we? um, Definitely the downsides are, firstly, I think that quite often you won't attract growth unless you have your procedures in place. I think on a subconscious level, we won't attract that growth because we know that we can't handle it. A lot of people fear if they grow too quick and they don't have things in place um, that basically they'll be working even longer hours, or it will, you know, there's a lot of mums in business out there that it may take too much time away from their family,
Mm,
or that if they grow without systems in place then they won't be able to handle the workload, that their standards and reputation may suffer, that their customer satisfaction will drop. So um, that's a big one. Having systems in place first and procedures really detailed and well done will attract growth. So if you don't have them, I believe in a lot of instances you won't attract the growth. And for those businesses that do attract growth without the systems in place first, they can get into a lot of trouble. So basically, yeah, as I said, their reputation can suffer and that can be irreversible. They can become highly stressed. Their relationships with their loved ones can suffer. If they don't have these systems in place, they're working longer hours. Maybe then they don't have time for looking after themselves, exercise and time out, etc.
mm,
So there's a lot of those things come into play. Also, you know, if they're sick, or you know you're away on holidays, or you know, what happens to your business? So that's a big one. If you're not there working in the business, then the income may not be coming in. If you've got the system set up, then you can bring other people in. And then for those business owners out there that do already have staff, if you don't have systems in place, then and you aren't there in the business, maybe the staff aren't operating it in the way that you would like it to be. So profits can often plummet if the business owner isn't present and they don't have the proper procedures in place. If the business owner is sick or on holidays, then there can be big problems within the business. So
Yeah.
also staff satisfaction can suffer if you don't have the correct systems in place. So if you've got good staff, you want to hold on to them. So with good systems in place, you'll have things like staff satisfaction and some processes around keeping them happy within the business.
Yeah. I agree. I have to say, this holiday that I just came back from, being away for a month, everything was so well run by my virtual assistant Stuart, who wasn't on holidays with me this time around. So the business still made sales. All the inquiries were handled, and it was the first time in 6.5 years that I felt like I could really switch off. And I came home, and we still had an amazing August, even with me being away. So I agree with everything you said. And you want to also have a creative business owner, especially if the business owner is the person or the one that owns it, like the founder. In order to be creative, you need to outsource the things that can take away take up too much headspace. So, in saying that, let's go into the how. So, how does one start to create procedures that staff can follow, so that people can start delegating a lot more?
Yes, so basically that number one is they have to be really user friendly. So a lot of I've done a lot of customizing for a lot of businesses, and I just shake my head at some of the procedures, and it would be impossible for a new person or a new person to that role to follow. So they really have to be user friendly. So that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
They have to the staff have to be engaged in a why. So putting powerful paragraphs or case studies around your procedures of why you're doing it that way can really help, sharing that with your staff. Because once we know why, then people are more prone to follow because they know why. It's got to be set up so it's a win-win. So what's in it for the staff if they follow the procedures? So how will they benefit? So this needs to be looked at, and it is quite different for different industries and different staff, depending on the personalities of the staff as well. So it's not always for money that can be a win for the staff, although that does help if there's commissions or looking at paying them more in the future. But basically looking at, well, if they follow the procedures and the business can grow, they'll have a more secure job. They may be able to then move up the ladder within the business because it's grown so much. So you can bring someone else in to do some of the tasks maybe they didn't really like. So they could then spend time on something of the job that they really love, or go and learn new skills. Maybe you can then pay for some training in some other areas. So, having a look at what's the win in it for them, what's the why. Another really important. Sorry
to interrupt you. There's just one question that's come through Facebook Live from Sheena. She said, "Can you please give examples of various tasks you can outsource?"
So various tasks could be basic. It depends on your business and where you're at. I guess I'm sensing she may be a startup if she's asking that. So your first task that you could outsource would be to a virtual assistant. So any sort of things you can outsource to them usually is the first thing. So as you know, Nat, so adding to your database, those sort of things.
The thing
maybe the more.
Maybe if I can maybe answer part of that.
Sure.
Because various stages. I think you tend to work more with more established businesses rather than solo.
Yes.
Yeah. So things that I outsource is my events that I do, the compilation, answering of basic emails and inquiries, managing a lot of my Facebook fan pages. My virtual assistant doesn't manage my private and posts in the Ultimate Business Support group, but she does post in other groups and on my different fan pages. Adding to the database here lists of people that I meet, and sending out logistics emails before events, thank you emails after events, pulling together my send out cards, my actual physical cards, postcards that I send to people. There's quite a lot of tasks, as I said. Continually, I guess, maybe alerting me to things that may have come through and I just haven't been aware of. So I hope that has helped. But bookkeeping, a lot of people outsource their basic, their bookkeeping. Things like that. Linda, is there a specific program that you recommend that people use to write systems in? I mean, I just use Word and Excel for spreadsheets, and then I use my screenshot capture with my computer on my Mac. It's like standard. You can record your screen and show your person what they need to do and the steps they need to take. So those are kind of the three key things that I would use to pull together bits and pieces for my virtual assistant. But is there something else that you use or you recommend?
Well, I work with business owners. I have over 40 templates, so I give them my templates and my worksheets to use to work from. So we start from that with the people that I work with. But look, it really does depend. Some things you can just write out, do it on Word. Doesn't matter. Put on sticky notes what you're going to be, whatever you do more than once, record it. That needs to be a system. I think that videoing, obviously, it's quicker to video a system and then get it transcribed and typed up if you can. However, what I found with a lot of businesses, and it does depend on the business, is that first you really need to work out what steps do I want to be recording. So often that has to be done on paper first, so in the procedure document format before they put it into video.
Yeah, cool. Awesome.
So yes, you can use Camtasia if you've got Apple, you can use the system in there if you're recording videos, or you can even use your iPhone with an external mic if you need be. Just get it down and get started. So I think that's the main thing, to just get started. But if you can have someone to help you along the way, and you can have tap into those who have done it before you, then you're going to be saving a lot of time.
Yeah. So the person maybe who's been even doing that particular task to write the system and for you to refine it, because you can't know everything that's going on. Like, for example, for a steward goes through a certain process to find our retreat venues, and I haven't been involved in that forever, and so I wouldn't know how does one go about finding a great retreat venue, and how do you approach them, and all that sort of stuff. So he would be the best person to write that system.
That's right. And I found there's a lot of general operational and standard foundation procedures that are standard amongst lots of businesses, which is why I wrote up all my templates to share with other business owners, because I'm a strong believer in why reinvent the wheel. We're all busy enough, so why should every business owner sit there and try and nut it out themselves and work out the best way? Yeah. And often it's around the smart questions. You often don't know what you need until you ask the right questions, and a lot of business owners may not know those right questions to ask.
Okay, so Kenneth, who's on the Facebook Live as well, has also said, well, what are the three most important systems to have? Is there ones, because you have done lots of templates, as you've said, so there's obviously some things that repeat themselves across many businesses. Are there three that sort of stand out in your mind now that you often keep reusing for all the different businesses?
I'm not going to list three. I'm not going to make a list of three, systems you must have. I think the question would be, if everyone would like to, if they want the answer to that, is ask yourself, if I gave you an admin person tomorrow to come into your office to help you for free,
Yeah.
could you give them some work to do?
Mm.
Or would you have to sit there all day with them explaining it? So there's usually your answer. You would know, okay, well, I'd really like them to do X, Y, and Z. They would be the ones that you would need to start on first.
Yeah, beautiful. That's a great question to ask themselves, and because otherwise, if you listed three, well, it's not relevant to every single business. But that question is a good question. So maybe, can you, when we finish the call, go on this recording on Facebook Live, and maybe can you type up that question that you actually said in the comments field? And are there another couple of key questions that you speak to business owners when you initially meet with them? That our listeners can ask themselves and figure out where they're at, and maybe that will be helpful.
Yep.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Now we're running out of time, and I do have my three key questions that I ask of every one of my guests. And we've got some other bits and pieces, so we might run over slightly. So let's make these like a 30-second answer.
Sorry, I'm talking a lot.
It was really valuable, so I didn't want to interrupt, and I wanted to hear everything that you had to say, because I'm also writing notes on my piece of paper down here as I listen to my guests. I wrote user-friendly, using case studies when you're writing the systems, building up the why is so important to have that system, and what are the benefits to the staff if they use it. Those were my key insights from what you said before. Okay, so question number one is, how do you achieve balance? I know you used to run this program, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I might get it wrong. Was it the 3-day work week, something like that? Was that what it was called?
The 4-day weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
The 4-day weekend. Okay,
I still run that. I still run that program. It's got a different name now.
Okay, it was a 4-day weekend. So I guess, how do you yourself achieve that balance in your life?
I think it's really important to have a great mentor, so to keep you on track.
Yeah.
I think for balance, you've got to have that time for yourself, for exercise and looking after yourself. It's vital for your productivity. So by working in time zones and having those time out with your family is really, really important, and time for you.
Love it. Love it. What about the times when mental funk strikes? So those moments in our businesses where we feel like we're going backwards, or we just feel, oh my God, what am I doing here? I'm not good enough. Or perhaps there's no business coming in and we start to freak out. How do you deal with those moments?
Okay, again, I think exercise, I'm a big one for exercise. So exercise usually gets me out of a funk. So that's often on my agenda for the day anyway. So if that doesn't get me out of my funk, I will arrange a phone call, with a mentor, a colleague, or a friend.
Yeah.
And listening to inspiring audios is fantastic. So, or ask yourself a smart question: what can I do about it?
Yeah.
Or what would my mentor suggest I do about it if they're not available? That's always a good one.
Love it. Love it. And the last one is there a tool that you like to use in your business that has helped you? It could be an app on your phone that you're always using. It could be a manual system or tool that you use. I mean, anything like that goes. I always like to pick up some new ideas from my guests.
Okay, because I'm all about productivity, I love an app called Antisocial, which locks me out of Facebook app. Nat, I know you're going to think that's funny.
I don't think I'll be using that one.
So I lock myself out to get particular work done. So it's an app that you can get and just go into Facebook, and I can't get back into Facebook for a certain amount of hours, which is good. So then I just think you should set yourself up to win. Everyone says you need to be self-disciplined, but hey, use the tools that can really help it make it easy.
Yeah, yeah. I'll look at it, but I don't know. I'm a bit scared to use.
You don't need it, Nat. You don't need it, Nat.
Oh, love it. Awesome. Well, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for bringing this gold to us this morning. Please, yeah, go. I'll post a recording of this as well as a GoToWebinar recording. But also, if you can, yeah, write those questions in the comment fields, either on, or maybe we can cut and paste them into both spots once I post this recording up. But thank you so much for being our guest today on such short notice, because literally I didn't have a guest 2 days ago. And I said to Linda, I just got your information. You want to come on Monday mornings? Because I was just going to jump on. I hadn't organized. I was just going to deliver something myself. So perfect. Worked out perfect. Divine timing. Thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you, Nat. Thank you very much.
Bye. See ya.
Bye.
All right, guys. So, those of you that are still on the call, just a couple of logistical things that I'm going to go through, and that is our live events. I'm going to Adelaide, and I am going to be. I'm going to put this in the chat box here in GoToWebinar, but I'm going to be speaking there. At Colin Slater is our team leader over there in Adelaide. And then Samantha's hosting the event in Sydney on the 27th of September, with the speaker being Mark McInnes. And so I've just posted those in the chat box there. So that's happening 20th of September, which is next Tuesday. I will be there from 6 or 6:30. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's going to be information via that link. Or those of you that are on Facebook Live, if you go to the events area of the page, Colin has already posted this event on there, and you'll be able to click onto the link and come and see me in Adelaide. I can't wait. Secondly, the planners are out. They are here. They're selling like hotcakes. They probably won't be around for too long. Last year we sold them out in about 4 weeks. Now that I'm back from overseas and doing a lot of speaking gigs, these planners are going to run out the door. Our garage is slowly getting smaller and smaller in terms of the boxes getting out of there. So if you do want a pink or a black, there's still plenty available from each of those colours. And I've just posted the link in there. If you don't have it and you can't find it, I'm only a private message away. And the very final thing is we are now very well filling with about 4 spots left to our VIP marketing days. So we're hosting 2 groups. This is the exact same thing on both these days. So 11th of October and 10th of November will be the VIP marketing days at our home. So 9 to 5, and we include food, and we include a whiteboard calendar so that we plan out all of 2017 for you guys. And we have quite a few people flying in from interstate. I remember, Elaine, you're probably still watching, but she flew in from Perth last year, that far, for this one day, and we had to open up a second session. So those are the 2 coming up. And if you're interested in coming along to the VIP marketing days at our home in Diamond Creek in Melbourne, then you'll need to send me a message and I can give you some more information. And I thought it would be apt to finish this call on a productivity quote, and that is that productivity is not just about doing more, it's about creating more impact with less work. And I have to say that definitely Linda has shown us some tips and tricks on how to do that, and actually awesome questions for us to ask ourselves when it comes to what systems should we tackle first and next. And if you're anything like me and you haven't written anything, don't wait to write stuff. Thanks for all the love that are coming through. Don't wait to write stuff. Sometimes just say yes, and you'll see how quickly you will work out the how when you have a staff member that's sitting there going, oh my God, like I got to give them some work and I can't waste my money paying them wages without giving them some work. And I have to say, often I look around and go, well, there's nothing left for me to do unless I'm out there speaking and doing events. I don't need to do all this other tiny little admin tasks. So thank you so much, and thank you for all the love hearts and thumbs up and questions and everything that's been coming through so far. Have an amazing week. Hustle hard, as always, and I will be connecting with you next week. If there are any people who would like to step up and be one of our guests, again, I'm always open to send me a message. Tell me how you can add value to our community, and we can get you on the call. So again, thank you to Linda for being on the call, and I will post this recording